All right, so this is a meeting about our spring pilots, as it were. So we're doing fall pilots right now. We're sort of leveling this up in the spring, and the big elements of these pilots are what we're calling Hail courses and Hail clusters. Yes, I know you guys all love the word cluster. We were going to call them hailstorms for a little bit, and we remember that's the golf exercise, and we debated hail swaths, but we figured that would just be confusing, so we're sticking with clusters right now. This is a big part of the QEP. These are simply courses that involve some element of integrative learning, and courses, they can do this either by themselves as a single Hail course, or they can do this together as a kind of course cluster. They are also, to the extent that it is possible, and as I've told some other people, this is one of the more sort of forward-thinking elements of the QEP. Integrative learning is used at a lot of different universities. Fewer of them work very deliberately at involving co-curricular activities into an integrative learning experience, so that's a big part of this. And this is meant to be a part of that intercontextual curriculum that we talked about at the last meeting. All right?
Yeah, this is my slide. You know, we learn something new every day, don't we? Yes. Thank you. Thank you. What I've learned today is that you don't put a breath mint in your mouth if you know you're going to have to speak within the next 10 minutes or so. Don't talk with your mouth full. As we said, we want you to do one of two things. If not now, at least in the next couple of semesters, start getting into that routine, changing the culture a little bit. And that is to continue doing what you're already doing in your own courses, showing a direct application between what we're learning and what you're going to do when you get out of here. But start looking at ways that perhaps you could partner with another course so that a student doesn't just see a connection with life in your course, but they start to combine courses and say, I can use something from that in this. And we want to be able to keep up with who's doing what. So what we're going to talk about in the next 3 slides, starting with this one, is the process we'd like for you to go through to let us know what your thoughts are. To register maybe is a word, but to put on our radar the kinds of things that you want to be doing in your classes that tie into this integrative learning. And so the first thing we want to do, as you're thinking about what you might do, probably, since we're already a month into the semester for spring, but that you might also still be able to incorporate into your class this semester, because there are some general assignments out there that we can tweak the details on to make it some sort of integrative learning experience. But as you think toward spring and you think toward next fall, first what we want you to do is think about whether the thing that I'm thinking about, the activity that I'm thinking about, the assignment, the deliverable, is unique to my class, or whether it could be combined somehow with some other class. And at this point, you may not even know what that class is. But potentially, this activity could tie somehow to more than just my class. So decide whether you're going to do a standalone Hail course, or whether you're going to try to create or participate in, whether you form it or just join it, some kind of consortium of at least one other, maybe 2 other classes. Make that decision. Second step in the process is to begin to think about what that actual activity will be. And you may already have that in your head as you're thinking about standalone versus cluster, but especially if you're thinking about cluster, begin to toy with the details of it so that you can communicate with that potential partner. Here's something we're going to do. And hopefully by the end of this hour, we will have had an opportunity to kind of share out loud some of the things we're going to be doing in our classes in the spring, so that other people can say, you know what, I've got something that we could talk about. Because we don't know where to start. But figure out what that piece is going to be, that assignment, that activity, that deliverable. Is it going to be something that connects an experience they've had outside of the classroom, maybe when they were 12, maybe when they were in high school, maybe in their job outside of class? Maybe in that activity they went to the ball game or they attended this thing on campus. But the goal is going to be to connect some idea from this class with that activity. Or maybe it's going to be something related to taking what you've heard in this class and putting it into this other context over here and transferring that concept to another setting. Maybe it is taking some idea out of that setting and partnering it with something that we've learned here, which is the synthesizing. And maybe it's just sitting back and thinking about it and deciding how it serves me in the future. So step one, think about whether you could partner. Step two, thinking about the specific thing that you're going to try to do. And I'm going to stall for just a moment because I think Paul has the next slide. We need to give him a chance to finish this conversation. And that's on tape too.
Is this mine or is it yours?
Last but certainly not least, so that we on the QEP committee can keep track of what everyone is doing, we would like for you to apply or register for Hale designation with our handy dandy form. Let's see if I can open that up, just to show you what it looks like. But yeah, this is what it's going to look like, and it's going to walk you through the information that we would like to know about what kind of integrative learning that you are doing in your class. So, back to here. Basically what we're going to want to know is your name, your course, your contact information, a description of your course and how you see it fitting into integrative learning, what sort of integrative learning component that you are going to do and what that's going to look like. And so that we can include this in QEP assessment, what sort of accessible artifact can your integrative learning activity produce? And along those lines, these are the criteria that we would like to see from y'all. Hale courses or clusters are going to need to incorporate a strong integrative learning component. Ideally, it will meet at least one of the outcome on the AAC&U Integrative Learning Value Rubric. It doesn't have to be a perfect fit, but just so that we are able to assess the QEP and our progress with that, we would like for you to make those part of your learning outcomes. At least if it's a standalone Hale course, we would like for it to be related to one of our integrative pillars, people, corpus, Poseidon. And yeah, so that to help us assess the QEP, we would like for your course to include artifacts for assessment. So here are some samples and prompts that you can think about as you are thinking about how to include integrative learning into your own course. These are some sample approaches that you can take. This is shamelessly stolen from DePaul University. Think about having your students analyze a major creative change or problem in your field and how it's ended up shaping your discipline, shaping the way that your field looks at knowledge in the world. Think about having your students connect your field's ways of learning to another area. How do we create knowledge in different contexts? You can have your students apply a concept that is important in your field to some sort of case study or some other professional context so that they can explore how it ends up working in the real world. And you can also just have them reflect on key terms, key ideas, key changes. How does it help the students think about their lives, their futures, what they want to do with that life? So yeah, just sample approaches that you can take as you're thinking about it. And as far as the video goes for everyone watching this at home, I think that concludes our presentation portion. If you would like to contact us, you can email us at hale@gsw.edu. You can visit our website. And I would also encourage everyone to join our MyGSW group, where we will be posting lots of things and have already started.
I want to just back up a moment and talk just a little bit about what assignments might look like, because I think these are great assignments. Some of them seem very ambitious to me, and one of the things I want to make sure we're clear is, since we're doing lower division coursework for the most part, we're not necessarily expecting students to get at the far end, at the sort of capstone area of an AACU value rubric. If you're wondering what kinds of things fit on the value rubric, these are the categories that we use on there: connect experiences, transfer knowledge, synthesize idea, reflect on learning. I'm imagining reflect on learning is going to be a very popular area for us to be thinking in, and I think that's a really appropriate one. And I wanted to, whenever you do one of these presentations where you're going to have people do some brainstorming, you always worry about, like, are we going to give you guys a model and that's going to be too much of a model? I'm going to tell you a little bit about how I transformed one of my assignments for one of the blocks this semester. Real quickly, I've had this long-term assignment for my 1101 students where I tell them to write about a book that they read. I usually have them read it the first month of class, what the best college students do. It seems to be good for them. And then I have them essentially write a paper. The book's about something that's called deep learning. Write a paper where you make an argument to your high school about how they could implement more deep learning in their curriculum. How could that be facilitated? All I've done is I've essentially changed the assignment. So instead of saying deep learning, I'm saying integrative learning. And instead of having them address their high school, in some ways they're addressing themselves. So what can you do? How can you use integrative learning while at GSW to help you meet your goals after GSW? And those papers are still coming in. They're working drafts right now. I'm actually seeing it, at least for a good part of the class, the class that's the part that's engaging, like a pretty significant difference. And I'm sort of taking the difference to be a little bit more of students being engaged. Like, oh, this is about me. How can I do this? Why is this important? And they seem to be connecting the dots well. So I just wanted to have you guys have an example. That's going to close the presentation for real now. So we want you guys to do some brainstorming, either with yourself or with a partner or two. So talk about how you could incorporate integrated learning into a potential class. Thank you.